Did you know that ancient Egypt lasted over 3,000 years? Today we're taking a deep dive into a civilization that fascinates us all, ancient Egypt. We all know the iconic images, right? The majestic pyramids, the powerful pharaohs, the mysterious hieroglyphics. But here's a question for you. How long do you think it all lasted? A few hundred years? 1,000? Get ready for a mind-blowing fact. Ancient Egypt, in its recognizable form, endured for over 3,000 years. Let that sink in. 3,000 years. To put that into perspective, the Roman Empire, from its founding to the fall of the western half, lasted for about 1,000 years. The United States is less than 250 years old. We are closer in time to Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, than she was to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's an almost incomprehensible span of time, a continuous thread of culture, religion, and power stretching across millennia. So how did they do it? What was the secret to their incredible longevity? The answer, like so much in Egypt, begins with the river, the Nile. It wasn't just a river, it was the lifeblood, the clock, the god, and the highway of ancient Egypt. Every year, like clockwork, the Nile would flood its banks, depositing a rich, fertile layer of black silt. This predictable annual gift made the land incredibly productive, allowing for agricultural surpluses that could support a large, stable population. Unlike in other regions where unpredictable rainfall could lead to famine and collapse, Egypt had a built-in system of renewal. This agricultural stability was the bedrock upon which everything else was built. It freed up people to become artisans, soldiers, priests, and, of course, builders. This unique geography also provided natural protection. To the east and west, vast unforgiving deserts made large-scale invasions incredibly difficult. To the south, a series of rocky cataracts, or rapids on the Nile created a natural barrier. And to the north, the Mediterranean Sea provided a wide-open defense. This relative isolation gave Egyptian culture the space and time to develop without constant external disruption, allowing traditions, beliefs, and a distinct identity to solidify over centuries. The world could change dramatically, but within its protected cradle, Egypt could remain Egypt. Now let's talk about the stars of the show, the pharaohs. The pharaoh wasn't just a king, he was considered a living god, a divine intermediary between the heavens and the earth. This concept, known as divine kingship, was a masterstroke of political and religious stability. The pharaoh's authority wasn't just based on military might, it was a sacred duty. His role was to maintain Ma'at, the cosmic order of truth, justice, and harmony. As long as the pharaoh upheld Ma'at, the Nile would flood, the sun would rise, and Egypt would prosper. This belief system created a powerful, centralized authority that unified the entire land, from the delta in the north to the cataracts in the south, under one ruler. This unity was key. While there were periods of division, the core idea of a single divine ruler for a unified Egypt always persisted, pulling the kingdom back together time and time again. And how did these pharaohs project their power and ensure their legacy? Through monumental construction projects, the most famous of which are, of course, the pyramids. The pyramids of Giza, built during the Old Kingdom around 2500 BCE, are a testament to this incredible power. They weren't just tombs, they were statements. They were resurrection machines, stairways to the stars for the divine king, and a project that required unparalleled logistical organization. Mobilizing tens of thousands of workers, quarrying and transporting millions of stone blocks, and achieving such geometric precision without modern tools required a highly sophisticated and stable bureaucracy. The pyramids announced to the world, and to the Egyptians themselves, the immense power and permanence of the pharaoh and the state he commanded. But power isn't just about stone and muscle, it's also about ideas, and the Egyptians had a revolutionary way to record them: hieroglyphics. This beautiful, complex writing system was more than just a way to keep records of grain and taxes, though it was certainly used for that. Hieroglyphs, the sacred carvings, were used to inscribe the walls of temples and tombs with spells, hymns, and the stories of gods and pharaohs. This allowed for the transmission of culture, religion, and history across generations with incredible fidelity. A priest in 1500 BCE could read and understand the religious texts written 1,000 years earlier. This written continuity anchored Egyptian culture. While spoken language evolved, the sacred script remained a constant, preserving the core beliefs and traditions that defined their civilization. It was their cultural DNA, passed down through the ages. Of course, it wasn't 3,000 years of unbroken peace and prosperity. Historians divide this vast timeline into periods of strength, like the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms, and intermediate periods of division, civil war, or foreign rule. There were invasions by peoples like the Hyksos and the Sea Peoples. Egypt itself expanded, creating a vast empire during the New Kingdom under warrior pharaohs like Thutmose III and Ramesses the Great, clashing with other great powers like the Hittites. But what is so remarkable is Egypt's resilience. After every period of collapse or foreign domination, the core elements of the culture would re-emerge. Foreign rulers would often adopt Egyptian customs, crown themselves as pharaohs, and worship Egyptian gods. The culture was so powerful, so deeply ingrained, that it often absorbed its conquerors. The idea of Egypt was simply too strong to be extinguished. The end, when it finally came, was a slow decline rather than a sudden collapse. A series of invasions by Libyans, Nubians, Assyrians, and finally the Persians weakened the state. Then came Alexander the Great, who was welcomed as a liberator. His successors, the Ptolemies, ruled as Greek pharaohs, blending Hellenistic culture with Egyptian traditions. The famous Cleopatra was the last of this dynasty. Her death and the subsequent Roman conquest in 30 BCE marked the end of an independent Egypt and the beginning of its absorption into the Roman, and later, the Byzantine and Islamic worlds. After 3,000 years, the age of the pharaohs was finally over. So, when we look at the pyramids or a golden burial mask, we're not just seeing ancient artifacts. We're seeing symbols of an unprecedented story of human endurance. A civilization sustained by the gifts of a river, protected by geography, unified by a belief in divine kingship, and cemented by a written tradition that preserved its soul. Over 3,000 years, a span of time that challenges our very understanding of history. It's a powerful reminder of how a unique combination of environment, ingenuity, and belief can create something truly timeless. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. What aspect of ancient Egypt's long history fascinates you the most? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next historical adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.